Good evening, good evening. We're going to get right into it. It's been a while. I've been many places, been doing many things. As usual, I hope you guys are in the best health and best spirits. We're going to get right into the content. I've been back in America for the last 2 weeks. For one, I had to pick up a dog. I bought a new travel dog. He's a Jack Russell. He's called a Jackapoo. He's a Jack Russell mixed with Poodle. He's very beautiful. His name's Charm. He's very healthy. He's about 6 weeks old. He has a couple more shots to get. And by the time you see this video, I will probably be back in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm just here to give the current state of America as I've been back for a very short amount of time. Just want to let you know how it's going here. First and foremost, the conversation in America has changed tremendously. Regardless on race or color, everybody I run into and mention where I'm living, in multiple different countries outside the USA, now it's turned from the question they used to ask is why? And now they're saying, you're lucky. Wow, you did it. How can I do it? And a lot of it's political, which I don't get into. I don't believe in any person leaving a country, especially America, because of political reasons. Being as though the structure the Europeans built in America doesn't allow any president to be in office for a dictatorship type situation, which is why America often has to bow down to China, which they recently did. The current climate in America, as we can call it, morale is very low. The wealthy are still wealthy. I'm excluding them because if you have wealth, you're always going to experience privilege anywhere you go, especially in America. But I'm talking about the common folks, the common people of all colors. A lot of poor whites in America, and a lot of poor blacks, and a lot of poor every other color. The wealth is not being spread around as usual. One of the major misconceptions America gives the world is that the wealth is spread around. When in America, I learned an interesting stat that the average American doesn't have $1,000 in case of emergency, which is horrendous when you really think about it, especially when you consider how much you're taxed in America. But a lot of that money goes to Israel and, to fight wars. And a lot of that money, where they have free healthcare in Israel, in America, you do not. A lot of that, recently, Venezuela got a big check from America. And in America, SNAP benefits are shut down. For those not familiar with what SNAP benefits are, they're benefits to the lower income people to help them eat. And right now in America, the current climate is the government is shut down. Actually, it's the longest government shutdown in American history, if you want to call this place America. Which brings me to an interesting point and why I wanted to do this video. As I said, by the time you see this video, I will be back in, I'm going to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I will be back there. And I will do a video update from there when I arrive and everything, probably introduce my dog and everything like that and get back on to further content. But since I haven't been on in a while, I just want to touch base and let those know that aren't in America, maybe traveling abroad, or my foreign friends abroad, which I have many. I just want to alert them what's going on in America. Because, America's a legacy brand country that forms opinions and, has people thinking that this is the greatest place to be, which it is absolutely not. America is still a very dangerous place for those who haven't been here. Europeans, the ones who stole this land through genocide, which is why you don't see any natives just strolling around this land. They love guns. It's very prevalent for them. It's a big reason on how they got this country. They had guns, the natives didn't. And even with that, they still struggled to defeat them in many battles. But that's history. And I look at history. My mother was a teacher for many years, 37 actually. And she always taught us to take our emotion out of history, and you can see it clearly. So I say that to say, with guns brings violence, which is why America is a very violent place. Very violent. So that update is pretty much common knowledge for anybody who's in America who knows better. But for all the foreign people that are in different places, I'm just letting you know the current state of that. But more importantly, financial hope is very dim in America. A lot of people feel like they're overworked and underpaid and not getting the benefits of their tax dollar. I don't care what party you're in, the Democrat, Republican, because they're all one to me. The government is designed to protect the wealth, keep the wealth happy, because they're the major taxpayers and they're the ones providing jobs and opportunities, which I don't have a problem with that. I do believe you need to cater to the wealth because they do provide jobs and they do pay the most taxes. But with that said, the amount of tax paid in America should be spread around more, which is a big reason why I left and why I advise many people to try and renounce your citizenship if you can, which is not easy. It's going to be a financial investment. You're going to be a citizen by investment. You're going to pay into a country, some are poor countries, you can pay into their debt through a bond, or you're going to park a lot of money into a bank account in a foreign country. And then some countries won't give you citizenship anyway. Like I have a lot of friends living in Dubai, and unless you're going to become Muslim and you're very well off and you can dump a bunch of money into their banks and or investments, that's not even an option. But I always am a firm believer. It's interesting. I was out at a dinner with about 10 of my friends, and I grew up in an area called Cheltenham, which is about 85% Jewish. Actually, Benjamin Netanyahu went to Cheltenham High School and graduated in 1967. But I say that to say, I tell people that 61% of Americans, no matter how bad this place is, need to stay in America. Now, I'm excluding the wealthy because the wealthy will find privilege anywhere. But I say that 61% because America is still a white country. And being as though Europeans are the ones who stole this land through the genocide, they will not receive privilege like they do in America anywhere else. If you are white, you still can have a historical connection to the country. In Philadelphia here, this is the epicenter for a lot of the European corruption. This is where the Constitution was wrote, and this is where they divided the land and did a lot of other heinous things after they stole the land. But I say that to get to the point of, if you are a white American, as they say, and I'm gonna put that in quotes because I don't honor this land as America, I honor it as the stolen land. You are still best off here. You will lose a tremendous amount of privilege, as I explained to many of my friends, leaving America. Because if you're white and American, if you go to Europe, they will always look at you as an American. If you go to the Middle East, they will always look at you as an American, a foreigner, a second-class citizen. And in Southeast Asia, you definitely do not receive any privilege there from the government or anything like that either. So all parts of the world, Africa included in that, you will not receive privilege. You will lose a lot of privilege. And whites, Europeans, and America have a historical connection. They can celebrate in the win of America. To whereas my people were on the adverse. We were only brought to America as slaves and served their purpose with slave labor. So I say that to say the climate in America is very interesting to me because you have a lot of whites that I'm talking to, and there's good in all. When I'm speaking on certain races, I'm talking historically and just speaking the facts. These are not opinions. I'm just saying that it's very interesting right now with the climate of America that even they want to leave. I'm getting a lot of intriguing questions from them asking, how did you move? How did you do this? How did you do that? And it's because they're not happy with what's going on here. A lot of them feel hopeless in America. They feel like it's going down. Now, regardless of your feelings, as I say, I recommend most Americans stay in America because this is the best place for you to be. If you're white, you can still have a historical connection. If you, God forbid, have to go to court and go to trial, if you're white in America, you are still presumed innocent until found guilty for the most part. And you will not have privilege like you will have in America anywhere else. Now, for blacks under 40 that have means to go abroad, meaning you don't have older family members holding you back here, and I would say holding back respectfully because I do honor people that stay for older family members, or if you have small children, even though if I had kids, I would still leave America with them. I do understand why you stay. But for those that can leave, like I always say, you might want to look into that. Now, I'm going to start off saying by ancestry. If you are a person with ancestry in different countries, you need to strongly look at trying to access that ancestry and get you a possible citizenship in another country. I have a lot of friends, like I say, of many different colors. Some of my friends are from Ireland. They don't have the passport, which is a way stronger passport than the American passport. You can live anywhere in the EU off that passport. I have one friend from Germany. He doesn't have the passport. It's like the third strongest passport in the world. And then I have other friends from Italy, another very strong passport. If you can get another passport through ancestry, that's the easiest way, because everybody else, like some of my people who can't even track their ancestry thanks to the Europeans bringing us here through the slave trade, the disconnect is there and you just cannot even track your ancestry back. So you're looking at strictly financial, which brings me to the point of a lot of Americans that want to leave, they're stuck. Most Americans I talk to, I would say 8 out of 10 don't even know that America is one of the only countries, if the only country, I believe the only country that globally taxes you based off your citizenship. meaning there's no amount of days you even have to be in America to be tax liable. You can move to Mars, another planet. As long as you have that passport, you are tax liable in America, and they tax 37% of your income. So I say that to say this. A lot of Americans aren't knowledgeable and think that they can just move anywhere they want. And a lot of these YouTubers, I see all kind of content, how to move here, how to move here. You didn't move anywhere if you don't have a path to residency or, more importantly, citizenship. You did not move. And if you have no process of renouncing your American citizenship, you definitely did not move, because you're still in the tax net of America, which can become pricey. Like Colombia, for instance. If you're in Colombia for 6 months straight, you're tax liable in Colombia, and you will pay there and America. Now, there's foreign tax exemptions you can get, which come with very many rules and stipulations. Like, they want you to be in one country for 320 days, and you have to show residency and all this other stuff, which I would never qualify for, because I would never just live in one country again in my life. And 320 days out of 365 is basically a year to me. So that's not even an option. So I just want you to keep your options open and always think ahead. Don't wait until the last minute. Don't want to move because of politicians or this person's in party or anything like that. We, and I'm speaking to blacks now, we as blacks need to know that, you know, the country America that you're in, all these people that came from different places, even the Europeans who came and stole this land, they fled from somewhere else. They didn't wait there until things got better. They left, which I can honor. Even though I'm on the other side of history, I don't get to enjoy in the win of America, because my people were enslaved here. And after slavery, we got the privilege of the Jim Crow and segregation, which honestly, in my opinion, when segregation was around, blacks had the most in America, which is not opinion, that's fact. My opinion is that we were better off in segregation. But you know, the civil rights movement and Rosa Parks and wanting to sit on the bus and not own the bus became a prevalent path, and you know, black businesses ended. Along with the Black Wall Street, when we had our own financial situation, what did the Europeans do? They bombed it. So I say that all to get to the point of, don't sit around and wait for your country to change for you. You have to change for you. Get to the best situation you can be in. Do your due diligence, as I always tell you. Put your feet on the land and do some travel. You'll be surprised, and I'm still surprised at how many people I meet in America. And I've been talking to a lot over these last 2 weeks in my hotel, in the lobby, talking with friends and family, going out. I've been out with a lot of friends, meeting up with a lot of good old friends and having conversations with them. And a lot of them say, wow, Jared, you know, you moved. How'd you do it? You're lucky. Right now it's crazy here. And I tell them, well, track your ancestry. A lot of my friends have strong ancestry in places to where they can get alternative passports. And a lot of them are stronger than the U.S. passport. A lot of Americans are ignorant to the fact that the American passport is not the strongest. I asked a table full of maybe 12 to 14 people just the other night, what do you think the strongest passport is? You wouldn't believe how many of them would say the American passport. It's absolutely not. Singapore is the #1 passport. And for those who've been to Singapore like I have, you can understand why. It's a very well-ran place, very functional. The citizens have high morale. You get healthcare there if you're a citizen. Banking, excellent. It's globally connected. Just in America, yesterday, I'm trying to get Bank of America on the phone to close down my account. It takes me 15 to 20 minutes just to try and get a representative on the phone, screaming back and forth, representative, please, I want to talk to an agent, blah-de-da. And then you finally might get one on the phone, you might not after an hour. Banking in America is a horrendous process, very informal. They treat you crazy, even though your money's in the bank. I went into the bank to get into my safety deposit box. That took a whole hour. The person gave me a number. I had to sit down. They treat you like you're in jail. When I go to banks in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and bank there on my other passport, I have no problem. I could talk to a human. It's very informal. They're giving you information. You know, banking is just way better, which is another hindrance of only having the American passport. Having only the American passport, it would be very difficult for you to open a bank account anywhere. In Thailand, it can be done. There's different ways around it. One of the only places I had success using the American passport, and that's because to own a condo, which in Thailand, you can't own land, home, or business, you can very easily get a Thai lawyer to liaison you getting a Thai bank account. because they want you to buy the condo, which is one of the only requirements for you to buy a condo as a foreigner. You need to have a Thai bank account, which is very easy to get. Other than that, and anywhere that you would want a bank that has strong banking power, you can forget about it. They don't want to deal with you. They see that American passport and you will not be banking. This is not my opinion. Just look it up, do your own research on it, which you should do on everything I say, because I give you concrete information based on facts, not opinions. And if I'm giving you my opinion, I'm going to clearly let you know it's my opinion. Now back to the morale in America. A lot of unrest here. One of the first things I noticed when I got here in downtown Philadelphia, and from what I hear, it was all across America, they were having a No Kings March. And with this No Kings Marches, everybody was saying that Trump was threatening to change some kind of law or rule so he could be president inevitably for longer than the 8 years that you're allotted as an American president. And, you know, there were big marches and protests all everywhere. I got caught in the traffic in my Uber just trying to leave downtown Philadelphia, which also, don't get me started on the infrastructure in downtown Philadelphia. Construction everywhere. You know, it's horrendous. Looks like a third world country. Looks worse than some third world countries I've been to and lived in. Just construction all over the place. In Philadelphia specifically, they're getting ready for next year. They're anticipating the most people ever in Philadelphia. They're having the FIFA World Cup come here, which I would love to be here for that, but I won't be, because so many of them people are not even going to be allowed into America, which is going to be interesting. You know, I have a lot of friends in Brazil that, you know, now as an American citizen to go to Brazil, you need a special visa to go there upon arrival in response to the terrorists from America and America being mad that they're providing China with soybean, which recently I saw just yesterday, America did come to an agreement for a year with China to keep getting soybean bought from America, along with other things. But, you know, if you ask my opinion from what I saw, America lost the battle with China on that for the year. This is only a year duration that they came to agreement. A lot of that was to do with the chips and everything like that. And China agreed to, with the rare earth minerals and all that, they agreed to like a year deal. You can look that up. I think China won, but we won't go into all that detail on that. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video is to just update you on the morale in America as a person with their feet on the land. And I'm speaking for in Philadelphia. I haven't been across America asking people these questions. I'm giving you the morale in Philadelphia, the place where the Constitution was written. So that's the morale, and it's of all colors, black, white, Latino, whatever. They're not happy with how the country's going. You know, a lot of same-sex marriage people, they're not happy with how they're being treated in America. I was shocked to hear a lot of discrimination is going on towards them, which is always the case. You know, there's a lot of places like that. Even Dubai, which is, I was talking to a gentleman, and I told him I had been to Dubai, and he was asking about going there, him and his husband. And I told him, you might want to do your research. You know, Dubai has laws against same-sex marriage and same-sex couples and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting because most of them, I know a lot of people, women that go to Dubai and get all kind of things and do all kind of things that these men request. So it's very interesting they discriminate against that, but that's whatever. I try not to spend a lot of money in Muslim countries except for Malaysia, which I do love, Kuala Lumpur, but I'm not very happy with Saudi Arabia and some of these other countries with financial means that won't help their own escape the genocide oppressed on them by the Israeli. But that's a whole nother story. We won't get into that. So, you know, I'm just letting you know right now that there's a lot of unrest in America. I showed a video in Philadelphia. There's an area called Kensington. And I have friends in Thailand and in Indonesia and Bali that have never seen whites on drugs. You know, this area, Kensington, is the methamphetamine capital of the world. A lot of fentanyl, a lot of drug use. And I videotaped and sent them the video, and they were completely shocked. They didn't think whites were on drugs. You know, America does a good job as a legacy brand country to promote that only minorities are on drugs. So they were mind boggled to see whites on drugs, which is no good. I don't want to see anybody on drugs. I say that to say all the misconceptions that are promoted by America to the world. And when people see these things, they are just mind boggled. I have friends in Africa, you know, that they believe that all Americans are rich. You know, they don't know that the more money you make in America, the more they tax. I did 20 years union carpentry. I did a lot of overtime in nuclear power plants and on different jobs, working 610s and working overtime. You know, The more you make, the more they take, and people don't acknowledge this. So they look at everybody in America like they're wealthy. And as I told you earlier, the point of the average American doesn't have $1,000 to in case of emergency, which is crazy, but it's true. So, I'm just giving you some updates on the morale in America. The citizens are feeling unrest. The wealthy are always feeling good, because if you're wealthy, you're positioned to be dominant, you're positioned to leverage yourself, and you're going to benefit from times of need like this. White women are having the least amount of babies in America right now at anybody. And there's a lot of factors in that, discussed with their own kind. They're not too happy with the white men. White women go to college more than any other people in America. So that takes them out of baby making mode. They're looking to build businesses and thrive in corporate America, which only the white man can hold them back in corporate America. As you see, America's never had a white woman president, and they never will. They'll blow this place up before they have a woman president. I actually think they'll allow a man who's with another man to be president before a woman. But that's just my personal opinion. To get back to the point, white women in America are having the least amount of babies at anybody. Home care for children costs a lot in America. And all other nationalities and races, like my own, blacks in America, Hispanics, and even the Jews and the Chinese and people from India that come here, they're going to have babies regardless of the economy, because they're communal people. A lot of them already live together, so child care is already in the home. You could have a cousin, uncle, niece, nephew, or somebody watch the kids. Europeans are more separated, where in the Western culture it has become a thing, because everybody follows the European lead here, that when you're 18 in America, which I haven't seen pretty much in any other country, you're trained to leave the house. You go to college to go into debt, or you leave the house to go into the work field so you can pay taxes, which is encouraged by America, of course, because they benefit from both. But I say that to say those are major factors. And when 61% of the country is white, for America to get back to any level of being great again, you need whites to be great again, because there's so many more of them. And with their women having less babies, it's a big problem, and it's a big reflection of America. I'm 44. When I was a child, you could have a one-income home, you can go on vacations, you can have a car, you can send the kids to college, the wife can stay home, she can have 3, 4, 5 babies or whatever they choose, and boo, life was beautiful. Come to America, it's the only place you can be middle class. That's changed. In my lifetime, look at Dubai, for instance, again. When I was a kid, on Dubai's airport, you had animals running around. Singapore, it's a whole different country right now than what it was. If you look at things like in America, I've been to many gas stations. I have an electric car, so I charge that here. But I've been to many gas stations, stopped in there just to see, and every gas station in America, from the north to the south and back up to the north from the south, is owned by a person from India or Pakistan. In my young days, you couldn't find a gas station that was not owned by a white. Dunkin' Donuts, every one of them is owned by somebody from India or Pakistan in America. I don't say that to discourage these people. I've been to India. I know a lot of people from India. I have a lot of family in India. My great-grandmother actually built a school for girls in Bangalore, a part of India in the south, to fight the caste system. As you know, Mahatma Gandhi in his early teachings was very racist towards blacks. So I'm very knowledgeable on India. That's my only point on saying that. So I welcome all people to come to America, especially since this is stolen land anyway, to get the resources. I have a sister, she's down there on University of Penn's campus to be a medical student. Very prominent Ivy League school Penn is. You go on that campus, you see mostly Chinese kids and kids from India, which is no problem. I say that to say they don't come to the country to go to lower education colleges. They go to the cream of the crop, most in medical. My doctor in Bangkok is actually from India, very smart man. I have a lot of respect for these people, and like I said, I welcome all people to come to America, and I think they should all be able to come to America and get any resources possible, since this is all stolen land anyway. So that just goes to the morale in America. You have white women having less babies. You have people mad about Democrats and Republicans are mad at each other. They can't get along, which creates an elect to regret type of system. Let me run that by you again. An elect to regret, meaning you elect, you vote somebody in, and then you regret it later. America gives you two choices for a reason. They're not the best two choices. They're just your two choices. and you pick from them, and you deal with what you like and what you don't like, and deal with the repercussions for however many years they can stay in office. But as the American government right now is currently shut down, flights are getting postponed. Just in Philadelphia, they shut down 2 of the terminals because people aren't going to work. Nobody wants to work for free. Only blacks did that when they enslaved us, which is how they built the country and got a 400-year head start on us, which amazes me that there's poor whites in America because you had so much advantage. But really, I shouldn't be surprised that there's poor whites in America because, you know, one of the best tricks the Europeans pulled was on their own people during the slavery times, because the slave owners were the only ones that owned land and owned slaves, which was the workforce. The ones who used to just beat the slaves and go catch the slaves, they got very small pay and small rewards, and they were poor. They didn't have generational wealth. So I shouldn't be surprised that they're poor. There's some poor in the country right now. And with those SNAP benefits I told you about, a lot of those people are white. They're living in trailer homes, they're living in remote areas all across the world, and they depend on these benefits too. And once again, when I mention race, white, black, or any other color, I'm speaking strictly on what it is. I'm not talking about individuals. Good people are in all. You can find good in all. If you're a good person, you will attract good people and know good people. I have friends from all races, respect them for what they are. Like I said, I grew up in Cheltenham. At the time, it was 85% Jewish or more. And I have many Jewish friends that I'm still friends with today. They're very unique people. I have a lot of respect for the Jews, even though they do not like my kind too much in Israel. But I've been many places that I respect that don't like my kind. The Chinese don't like my kind. I've been there many times, Beijing, Shanghai, and I enjoy myself. I can respect them because Chinese people are about China first. I have much respect for that. Which is why in America, everywhere you go, every city, there's a Chinatown. There's no Africa town. There's no African American town, even though we built this land. So I have much respect for them. And when they come to America, they stick together. They have their own banking. They have their own everything. You know, many of them come here, get the resources, and they go back to China, which I respect. They're very smart people, and they're about China first. And I love the way their system's set up to where, you know, Americans look at it like China's this dictatorship. When I tell Americans I've been to China, they'll ask why. You know, those people are so sad. They think everybody in China is just sad. Before China had a dictatorship, they didn't have any government form. So if you don't know anything different, you don't look at it like you're being oppressed and it's a dictatorship. Chinese people look at their government like the government is looking out for them, the Chinese people, which it is, which is why America is in debt to China and not the other way around. The Chinese people are very smart. They're very smart people, and I have a lot of respect for them, even though they have major dislike for my people, which, like I said, going back to, I take my emotion out of history and look at it for what it is. And the point of this video is to just give you insight and let you know how intense things are in America right now. America's a volatile place. America is not a place right now to where you can just have a conversation with a person and within a couple sentences, you're going to hear something about how mad they are with what's going on in America. The government, the form, and mainly the person who's in charge, which I don't get into people's political views. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. I'm all for, if you want change, you need to make your own change. You can't wait on government to make things better for you because that's not their job. That's the illusion. The government's not here to serve you as the people. They are here to serve the government and the wealthy. That's just common sense. If you don't know that, that's just another level of ignorance, and you keep hope alive. Just know that everybody, if you're in America, these people that came from different places and continue to come from different places, they don't wait in their place where they don't feel like opportunity or whatever they're fleeing for or coming for is present there. They leave. They go to where it is at now, because if you want to better your life and your family's life, your kids' life, if you have them, and the generations after that, you have to make a move right away. I was talking to an older gentleman, and he was telling me how his father came here in 1942, you know, which is after World War II. And he was explaining to me how he was able to come here as an immigrant and go to medical school. And, you know, this gentleman is very well off. I was talking to, he has a huge home, you know, very nice man. And he was asking me, and I asked him, I said, well, do you know where my ancestors were in 1942? He said, what? I said, well, they were coming back from World War II, where they fought very ignorantly, you know, in the United Army, which is one of the most corrupt genocide committing organizations in the world. But anyway, that's another thing. The black soldiers were discriminated against in the war. They couldn't even eat with the whites, sit with the whites, sleep near the whites or anything, yet they fought in the war with them. And they came back to America, and what were they welcome to? Segregation. They weren't able to go to the same schools and get the same education, even though they fought in war. And he was mind-boggled by it. He said, wow, I never knew it. I said, sir, you don't have to explain to me you didn't know that. There's no reason for you to know that, because your father came here as an immigrant from Poland and was able to benefit off the backs of slave labor. They were able to come here because they were the right color at the time, and they were welcomed into the country, were able to go to schools, medical schools, and all these other things that my people were not awarded the opportunities to do. So, America's a very interesting place. And, if you're looking and you're in America and you want to leave and you're my color, I strongly suggest you put your feet on the land and do some travel. It can be a great benefit for you. Now, like I always tell you, I don't advise anybody just make rash moves or brash moves. Always do your research, know where you're going, and know where you're going to be welcome. And when you get there and put your feet on the ground, put feet on land, if you got that right feeling and it's financially worth it and makes sense to your finances or whatever you're doing, I need you to do your due diligence and maybe look into that, because your alternative is to stay in a country to where it's not going to change within your lifetime for the better, and deal with it as it is. My father always told me, men don't make complaints, men make changes. So if you feel as though you're in a country who's not showing you the same love that you're supposed to have for your country, even though us as blacks, we don't get to celebrate in the win of America. We were on the adverse side of it. We were only brought here to be slaves. When the forefathers of this country came up with their bright ideas, they didn't even think we were human. So for you to think you can share in that dream is just ludicrous and ignorance. Even the Europeans will tell you that, which they have Thanksgiving coming up. They're very proud of their history. One thing about the Europeans that stole this land, they're very proud people. So, Thanksgiving's coming up, and back to like I was saying, in Philadelphia, they're going to have the most people in Philadelphia ever next year. They're going to have the FIFA World Cup. They got the baseball World Series, and then they got the anniversary of this country coming up. So a lot of people will be in Philadelphia, in Old City, and, running around doing all the things that people are proud of the history will do. To me, it's sickening for you to be proud of a history that was on genocide. But then again, if I was white and European, I'd be proud too. I'd probably be down Old City having a party and waiting for Thanksgiving and chopping up some turkey, with no regard to the natives. Because, the Europeans, they're similar to the Chinese, except for more violent, to where they are doing what's best for Europeans, as they did when they fled for religious persecution and stumbled upon America. Christopher Columbus, he thought he was in India, which is why he called the natives Indians. He was so lost. But that's a whole other story. I'm not getting into history levels and the history teachings and all that kind of stuff. You can do your own due diligence if you even care, which most don't. I'm just giving you the point on current vibes and current temperature in America. It's a lot of unrest, which is why I like to be out the country, to where I can fly above the politics. I don't care what the Thai government's doing. I have no interest in it. I'm not a citizen. I don't care what the government's doing in Malaysia. I'm not a citizen. I don't care what they're doing in Indonesia. I'm not a citizen. I stay the course, follow the rules, stay visa compliant, and continue on my way. And that's the way I want to live life. So, I'm just giving you this information to give you an update, encourage you guys to track your ancestry if you can. If you're one of my black brothers and you come from the Caribbean, or you come from somewhere to where you can get an alternative passport, I recommend it and use it as power, because traveling with that American passport is becoming more and more detrimental to you. It's not the strongest passport anyway. It's not bad on visa-free travel, but like I say, it has its downsides. So do your due diligence. And if you can get stronger passports, I recommend it. I have a friend from Italy. He doesn't have that passport. He has the American passport. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Italy, that's like I believe the fourth or fifth strongest passport in the world. Nobody's mad when you pop up from Italy. Nobody's mad when you pop up from Mexico. All these kind of places are places to where if you can get access to the passport, you need to get it. So, I'm just giving you guys some thoughts, giving you some info, giving you some updates. I'm in the Aloft, I'm chilling. I've been in my hotel for a little while now. I'm just catching the vibes in America. By the time I post my next video, I will be either in the airport heading back to Kuala Lumpur, or already in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia again. So I just want to tell y'all to stay safe, keep traveling, and also before I go, people that are YouTubers giving this information, when you say you moved somewhere, stop saying you moved if you don't have residency or citizenship, because you didn't move. You're on an extended vacation. And a lot of people might say, well, Jack, everybody doesn't want to renounce their citizenship. Okay, that's fine. But as long as you're an American citizen and only have that passport, stop saying you moved. You did not move. Moving is like when you're still in America and you move from California to Atlanta. You move from New York to New Jersey or something like that. Then you moved. You're still a citizen. You still have rights. If you're in a country where you have no rights, you can't vote, you can't do anything like that, you're still paying tax in America, you need to say, I'm on extended vacation. I'm just here for a long stay. Stop misleading the people into thinking you moved, because a lot of people come to me for information and they have children, they have serious questions, they have serious concerns, and a lot of these people don't even know that as an American citizen, you are globally taxed no matter where you move in the world. A lot of Americans are under the assumption that you could just move where you want and do what you want, and you cannot. Once again, I advise most Americans to stay in America. Mentally, you're not ready to be abroad, and and if you're white, American, you're going to give European, you're going to give up a lot of privilege. Europe, they're not going to look at you superior, and all them other places I named. You're not going to be a Class A citizen like you are in America, and you're not going to have your history that you can relate to and be proud of in any other country. Just giving you guys some information. I just want everybody to be safe, and like I say, good people should be around good people, and good people find good people, and there's good in all. There's nobody, I think being racist is just pure ignorance. I don't have a problem with people being proud of their race. I'm proud of my race. There's many things I don't like about Black Americans, but I'm proud to be Black and wouldn't want to be anything else. Even though we can't track our ancestry, I have a lot of respect for our African brothers. Like my best friend from America, his family's from Ghana, Accra, which I've been. And, I always tell them, man, you're so lucky that you have a country that you can call your own, that you know your people came from, where you're bled, where your people bled. Where my people bled for the soil is European land that they stole on the back of the natives. So, this is not our land. And you have some ignorant Blacks, we're the indigenous people. Well, if you've been to Ghana and you've been to the underground burials of the slave that committed suicide to not come to America, you would know that if your ancestors had the chance, they would have left too. Unfortunately, they didn't. Just giving you guys some things to think of, and just stay positive and get on out there and travel. Right now is the time to travel. Every time's the time to travel, should I say. But right now, with the feelings I'm getting in America of social unrest, morale is very low against the common man. A lot of people are feeling disheartened and feeling hopeless. I've heard that word a lot. A lot of Americans, you ask them, what do you think needs to be done to change things in America? They will tell you, I have no idea. They're just hopeless. They have no answers. But one thing they do have is questions about living abroad. So I just wanted to say, for all those living abroad already, I commend you. You're doing a respectable thing. You took that leap of faith. A lot of people are in countries that, with people that don't look like them, speak like them, or anything like that. And it takes a lot of heart to travel. I've been many countries, like I say, where I've been the only Black man on that plane or the Black man in that space. It takes a lot of strength. So whatever color you are, if you made that leap of faith and you're traveling and you're living abroad, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody discourage you. And keep giving good advice and sending the message to people that they can do it too. I always tell people, a lot of my people think that you need a lot of money to move abroad, and especially in Southeast Asia, where things are still cost efficient, even though the U.S. dollar is losing tremendously, which is why I'm buying a lot of gold and things of that nature to try and diversify my money. But you still need to encourage people that they can do it too. I always tell people, you don't need to be rich to move abroad. Of course, if you're not moving to Switzerland or some wealthy country like that, there's places that cost a lot of money. Southeast Asia, though, is very cost effective, unless you're going to move to Singapore, which can be more expensive than America per square foot once you're buying property and looking for condos and things like that. But back to the point of, just keep encouraging people that they can do it. Don't be the person discouraging. A lot of people get abroad and they want to keep things to themselves and keep information to themselves and feel like they're the only one there, but that's not the case. Keep a positive attitude, keep encouraging, and always look to encourage and not discourage people who look like you from traveling abroad. I saw some horrendous video on YouTube just last night with a black brother. I had to comment on his page, which I don't normally do, and just tell him because his caption was why blacks should not leave America or why blacks should not live abroad. And it was just totally ludicrous information. No other race of people do I see discouraging their people to travel. Like I said, back to the Chinese, they travel more than anybody. There's no country I've been to out of many where I haven't seen Chinese travelers. And here in America, they come a lot. And America is way more dangerous than China, no matter what America tells you. I've been in China, feet on land. China's way safer. I feel safer there, and they're totally against my people there. So if they can do it, you can do it. And never discourage your own people. Always encourage your own people, because if not, you're a detriment to your people. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. And like I say, my next update, I'm gonna introduce you to my dog Charm. He's a Jack of Poo, Jack Russell mixed with Poodle. He's beautiful. He warms my heart, and he's gonna be traveling with me, and I can't wait. But I'm signing off. And any questions you have, you can relay them to me in the comments, or any feelings you have or whatever like that. We're men, so we don't deal with emotion. Any women that have questions, I welcome you too, especially the sisters. If you have any questions. I'm seeing a lot of videos pop up with sisters moving to Japan and having dating situations there and problems there. One thing I will tell my sisters as a black woman: if you're not going to one of the islands or you're not going to Africa, you're going to run into a lot of dating problems. Because a lot of these other nationalities don't want to date black women on a large scale. Now, depending on what you look like, how fair your skin is, how dark you are, do you look African? There's different variables. You can always find a 1 out of 10 that can find success. I'm talking for the overall when I talk. I'm always here for the information. My Instagram @LuckHef, LuckHef. That's on everything. You can hit me up there. I get a lot of consult information there. A lot of people contact me for consults, and I'm more than willing to give the information. Signing out. Once again, I always want you to be in the best of health and best of spirits. Stay positive. If you're thinking about making a move, you can do it. And I encourage you, and anything I can do to help you with information, as long as you're not asking me dumb stuff about women and bars and stuff like that I don't drink, and I don't never travel for women. None of the countries I'm in are for women. Women are beautiful. I love them to death, and I like to be in the company of beautiful women. A lot of this thing is pay for play once you get out of America, especially Southeast Asia, which I warn you about. You can see the videos on my page. So please don't contact me about women. Contact me about common sense things. We're adults. We're all looking to better our life. So if you have questions about visa stays or condos or something like that, just let me know, and I'm willing to help. But I hope you're in the best of health and spirits. Stay strong, stay safe. And for those in America, I would say good luck, but that sounds kind of redundant. I'm gonna just say I truly do wish you the best. And if you do stay, just don't think your vote is going to change anything. I'm not discouraging you from voting. I'm just telling you the facts. But be safe, and I'm signing out for now.